year is 2022. I'm in Bali, and I'm about to hop on a call at 3 a.m. And now this is pretty standard for me because for the past couple of years, I've been living as a digital nomad, traveling the world and working remotely. And at the time, I'm a design director at a fast scaling mental health company. I joined as the second employee, and now we're at 150 people. And the company was acquired a couple of years ago, and initially they kind of left us alone. But recently things have started to really change. So I'm in this completely deserted co-working space, and I hop on the call and I'm meeting the acquisition company's new CMO. Her name is Mandy. And I get on this call and Mandy is wearing an all red power suit. The vibes are very corporate and I'm not used to this. And Mandy is telling me on the call that, Green Shield, the acquisition company, we've been conducting research and we have determined that all the companies we've acquired that had their own brands, actually, we're going to be having a brand new unified brand. And so she shows me her slide deck and I'm like trying to, keep the straight face. I'm going to be transparent with you. In my opinion, this brand is very ugly. It's very corporate. It's very stereotypical. And I'm thinking in my mind, oh my God, how am I going to tell my designers about this? And it goes another layer deeper because my team had just completed a super law research, incredibly beautiful, full team effort rebrand of our company. And now all of that work was going in the bin. And all I could think to myself is, why didn't the company come to the design team and ask any of us what we thought? Or whatever happens to user-centered design? And so I end up relaying this information to my team and I met with not a lot of happy faces. And that kind of became the beginning of the end for me at this company. Because I knew after that point, with the direction that the acquisition company was going, I couldn't be the type of caring leader that I wanted to be. And so after a series of no's, sorry, we can't do that, sorry, I can't help you with that, combined with a raise I waited 2 years score that was arguably laughable, I knew it was time to leave. And so I did. I'd like to invite you into the idea that when we connect with our people personally, and when we co-design systems, we can create magic. I'd like to invite you into the possibility that every leader that wants to build a sustainable business needs a conscious operator to scale. My name is Jacquie Wortley, and I'm originally from Vancouver, Canada. And I grew up in a household where I was very loved and I could never want for anything financially. But it was also a household that was extremely emotionally unstable. And I realized now, looking back, that there was no conscious operator inside of my family. My dad and my brother, they had to move out of the house before I was even a teenager. And so I was left living alone with my mom, who was going through her own mental health battles, and sometimes I was a casualty. And inside of this system of chaos, nobody's needs were being met. Everybody was in survival mode. And I learned very quickly that there were all of these pain points that weren't being addressed. But I realized something interesting looking back at that time is that I developed insane skills for sensing what's wrong, deep empathy, and the ability to try to find resolutions even when the pain felt unbearable in doing so. I was on my journey to consciousness without even realizing it. And what even is consciousness, right? For me, it's this process of the deepest levels of self-awareness. When we can be entirely present, not just for ourselves, but a presence that allows us to be in service of others. It's this ultimate sense of unity where we can tap into true giving. And I'll be honest, I have not always been living consciously. Unsurprisingly, a childhood chaos and turmoil led to a very intense relationship with people pleasing and substances. My relationship with drugs and alcohol was masked by this ability to always seem like I had everything figured out. I was always crushing it at work. I was very popular. I had a lot of friends. But on the inside, I was suffering. I was deeply depressed. But then, in 2023, everything changed for me. That's when I began my relationship with a plant medicine from the Amazon called ayahuasca. And this medicine blew my heart wide open, where I was truly able to heal from the pain of my past. But not only that, I was able to finally see an expansion for my future. And so finally, I was able to ditch the substances, regain my sense of self-esteem, and walk through my life and my work consciously. And so finally, at the end of 2024, I quit that design director job and I started up my own consultancy as the Conscious COO. I wanted to bring together everything I learned in the world of UX design and software and bring that into helping organizations grow. And I had this idea that when we really focus on designing organizations from a conscious mindset, our visions, our people, and our profits are limitless. And I found myself at this interesting crossroad where I was like super into this business world, but also the spiritual inner world. And when we think about these two worlds, we see them as sort of in direct opposition to one another, right? Like we have the business world, and this is all about external success, right? It's about numbers, profits, KPIs, scaling, potentially at all costs. And then on the other side, we have the spiritual inner work world, which is all about internal understanding, embodiment, rest, and maybe saying no to growth. And I thought, I kind of find myself in between. And so I put my UX designer hat on. And we have these things called how might we questions. So we want to solve big problems that we don't understand. And I asked myself, how might we bring together the business world and the inner work world? And that's when my conscious entrepreneurship journey began, when I realized I wasn't the only one. There were actually a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders with this day mindset. And so I thought, okay, how does this apply to operations? Maybe there's a way where we can combine strategy, systems, and spirituality. Maybe there's a way that the inner work we're doing on ourselves can be inner work applied into our businesses. And so here's what's possible for you, your families, your business, your communities, when you invest with working with a conscious operator. You are then able to grow a business where you can care personally about your people while also designing systems that was with them and not against them. And how are we going to do this? We're going to use something that I call the gas method. Give a shit. Right? Give a shit. Genuinely. When you really listen to our people and what they have to say to us, everything changes, because when we give a shit about our people, they give a shit about us. And when our businesses are built with people who give a shit, we can care about the planet. We can expand so far beyond what we ever thought was possible. And here's the thing about the gas method. It's not just about listening. It's about aiming to understand. It's not just receiving feedback. It's receiving feedback without being reactive. It's about taking the feedback and actually applying it at the base level. And so you might be thinking, how can I apply the gas method in my organization? That's where I want to introduce you to something that I call design detangling. It's a methodology where we bring the best of human-centered design, operations, AI, flows, and mapping together to build you a blueprint of your entire business. Think about it. You're going to sit down and you're going to think about every single customer flow and employee operation of sales, marketing, customer success, technology, product. You're going to see it all laid out because what you see, you can solve. But then we're going to take it another step further because this is conscious operations. And we're going to go in and we're going to directly meet with our teams, our department leaders, our employees, and we're going to ask them, what do you think? How do you feel? How does this impact you? And we're genuinely actually going to take what they have to say and we're going to build it into our map. That map is going to create us a series of opportunities. And then we're going to use these pain points that we find inside and we're going to say, okay, we're in 2025, we're in the age of AI, but we want to operate consciously. So how are we going to use AI responsibly? Or maybe we're thinking about, okay, we want to grow our team, we don't want to lose our people. So how are we going to build feedback systems to make sure that our teams feel genuinely understood and want to stick around? I really do have a mission that we can serve humanity without sacrificing growth. I really want to present to you the idea that every business deserves a conscious operator to scale sustainably. And this will make sure that no great idea or great person gets left behind. Thank you.